This is going to be fun. We are live. I'm here with Roberto. And I got to hit one more thing here. Roberto Monaco, how are you?
My brother, Dr. Rob, I miss you, man. I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am so lucky, and I'm happy to get you here because I have my pad all ready because I'm going to take notes because after today, I'm going to be a better speaker. I'm going to be a better virtual presenter. And you know what? I'm going to enjoy it because the beauty of working with you is that when you're able to actually express how you feel, it's a moment, it's a takeaway moment because you got something, the guy, you work with doctors.
Yeah.
And they have so much to say and they kind of sometimes don't know how to say it and the message gets lost. You're the guy.
I love it.
Question.
And by the way, and I want to say something, one of my power lines that I keep telling my clients is this. Mm-hmm. When you love speaking, speaking loves you back, right? Because when you said, I'm having fun, I'm expressing my ideas, I'm being even more effective. And when you love speaking, speaking loves you back. You get love back from speaking, from the art of speaking. So I'm super excited to chat with you today, my brother, and with your audience.
Let me give you everybody your bio. You really don't need any introduction. You've been a full-time speaker since 2002, and you got a great story, and you should really share it. I'm compelled by it. Yeah. You've conducted more than 4,500 presentations. Man, I think you've got a little experience there. United States, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Puerto Rico. I know you are without question, a polyglot. You speak multiple languages.
Sí, señor. Sí, señor.
Yeah.
Sí, señor. Sí, señor.
You've worked for Tony Robbins companies for 6 years, who without question is probably the most well-known speech coach. For sure. You've conducted presentations in the area of leadership, marketing, presentation skills, sales. You're the co-founder of Influenceology. Yeah. Man, you got to tell everybody what that means. You live in South Carolina.
In beautiful Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. That's my accent's from the South.
Yeah. Just a little further south. A little further south. You got your beautiful wife, Katie. You got 2 children, your daughter, Sophia, your son, Phoenix.
Yeah, brother.
And we're happy to have you. You know what? I love everybody. You know what? It's story time. Tell everybody your story.
Well, so I'm from Brazil originally, and my background was banking and financing. And when I came to America 25 years ago, I always, in Brazil growing up, I look at soccer players and singers, and they had this passion. And I used to tell my mom, say, Mom, I want to have that. And my mom used to tease me, you can't play soccer, you can't sing, what do you mean? And I'm like, no, I want to have that feeling that I love what I do. And through a lot of journey, I realized that my life's purpose and mission is to help people become a better version of themselves. So when I was 2002, I had an opportunity to work for the Anthony Robbins companies to do presentations. And in the beginning, I almost got fired because I was doing around 400 talks a year. And you're supposed to go and speak and do talks. And I didn't know there's a big difference between speaking and influencing. Just like when you have a glass of water and 1 glass of tequila. I don't have tequila today here. But they look the same, right? Oh, speaking, influence look the same. But when you drink it, you're going to have a totally different outcome if you drink it the whole way. And that's the same idea. So I didn't have a problem speaking, but I had a problem influencing. I didn't understand the difference. And then I decided to master the art and science of influence. And eventually I went from almost being fired to become the #1 guy for Tony at that time. And then in 2008, I opened up a company, Influenceology, which will help entrepreneurs to acquire more clients, to expand their brand, their mission, through the art of communication. So that's what we do.
So we're going to really emphasize the virtual presentation. But before we get there, if someone were to call you, in an epigrammatic way, what would they receive from you? I mean, I can give you the testimonial. I mean, you're the guy who shows me how to message via making myself a raconteur. Tell them the story, and I'll set you up that way.
Well, the idea, like when usually people, they call me up, usually they have 3 major problems. Number 1, the messenger. I'll explain. Number 2, the message. Number 3, the marketing, the 3 M's. So the messenger means some people, not everybody, may have fear, uncertainty, doubt and anxiety of communicating in front of 1,000 people, in front of a camera. They don't feel good. And if they don't feel good, they'll never be able to be effective communicating. So part of my clients, they have the quote unquote, the mindset, the messenger issue. Then I have the message, which how you communicate your message effectively. And nowadays, people always they're looking for one solution for all different types of communication. That's why most people fail, because context is king. So the moment the context change, your communication strategy should change as well. So are you communicating for 5 minutes, 30 seconds? Are you doing a live video? Are you having an interview? Are you doing a pre-recorded webinar? What are you doing specifically, right? Are you doing a keynote where people are paying to speak and you cannot sell? Are you traveling, 10 hours to fly for free and you have a big, quote unquote, back to the room sales? So what is the strategy? So every time your context change, your communication strategy change, right? So I help our clients, and that has to do with presentation structure, how you organize your message, storytelling, offer, and then the third part is marketing. So once I have a really powerful mindset psychology, the messenger, once my message is fine-tuned, then the last part people need help is, hey, how do I get myself, my message in front of more of my ideal clients? And you help with that as well. So messenger, message, marketing, 3 M's.
100%. I mean, you have to have the message.
Yep.
If you don't have the message, that poses an issue. But if the message isn't heard because you don't know how to market it, it's lost.
That's it. Faizan, hello, Faizan. Hello, Zelia. High five. Boom. I love it.
There you go. So what I want to talk about and I find most interesting is how can you generate more clients, more patients from virtual presentations? So what is a virtual presentation?
Perfect. So virtual presentations is one word that encompasses several different types of presentations. So videos, pre-recorded videos, for example, if you're recording videos for YouTube, for a membership site, for Instagram. Then you have live videos that usually most people, they just use one platform, for example, Facebook. Then you have streaming, like we're doing right now. We're streaming in up to 8 platforms. Then you have one-on-one video. Hi from Sweden. Hello, Zelia. Hello, hello, hello. So then you talk about one-on-one videos. I was just talking about one app that I use, which is crazy. People never thought about it. In the last year and a half, I have recorded almost 1,900 one-on-one videos, and happened to be one of the most effective strategies I use. One-on-one videos. Roberto, are you saying you record one video for one person? Yeah. And I do it like in 30 seconds, and that's a big part of our lead generation strategy. Then you have webinars, then you have pre-recorded webinars, and then obviously you have virtual keynotes. You just mentioned to me that you have been doing a lot of virtual presentations. Keynote, right? You go in and you do a presentation for associations, and then you have your own virtual events. Specifically, I have done, since the COVID started, 7 of our own 3-day events, right? Where we go for 30 hours, we do 3-day events. So virtual presentation, in my perspective, is not only you speaking from a camera, is there's different context. Are you doing a keynote for an hour? Are you doing your own 1-day event? Are you recording a quick 30-second video? Are you doing a one-on-one video message? So virtual presentation encompasses all these categories.
Well, I actually, you have to excuse me. My thumbs are too big, so I missed an R in virtual. Okay. Somebody just texted me. I'm trying to get it out before you stop talking. I'm trying to work, and so nobody can see me because my keyboard's not working today. So why virtual VIR?
Yeah, why? So here's why. So what happened is I was like storytelling time. I was last March. I finished up a presentation for Sherman College Chiropractic, and I remember coming back, was March 12th, and my wife said they shut down Charleston. And that's when the lockdowns starting. And we had a presentation, Dr. Stephen Franson for Remarkable Practice, amazing group. I was doing a presentation with him in Chicago, and he said, man, Chicago is locked down too. What are you gonna do? And we start going back and forth. So he decided, it's his company, to decide to do a virtual event for a day and a half. And as a trained public speaker, and I wanna create the context for people here. as a traditional trained public speaker, over 4,500 live talks. If you were to ask me in March last year, okay, hey, do you feel that you can generate the same energy, the same power, the same enthusiasm, the same transformation in a live event or in a virtual event? I'll be the first person to say no. I would say back in March, hey, can you create the same impact, influence in a virtual setting? In March, I would say no, you can't. Right? But then I went through his process to these events, and remember, in a day and a half, we had over 2,000 messages on chat. People were super engaged. Fast forward, and that was my big breakthrough, July 4th. So July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I was supposed to be in Spain, Barcelona, to do my 3-day public speaking class there. They shut down, and I had 30 doctors say, hey, what are you going to do? I say, let's do online. And that was my first 3-day experience online last July, and was amazing. And since then, I've done 7 total. And I'll tell you, the impact has been amazing. Now, the biggest distinction between a traditional in-person event and a virtual event is engagement, right? It's way harder to engage people through a computer than it is live. But the best way that I can describe to my audiences and to you, if you are considering doing virtual events, virtual presentations, this. Pre-COVID, and that's the analogy that I use, pre-COVID, let's say, I used to have this amazing chocolate ice cream that people are like, oh, I love your chocolate ice cream, which was my live event. And now I develop a new flavor, which is cookies and cream, right? Which is my virtual events. So if you're the kind of person who learns better in a traditional live event, hey, here's my chocolate ice cream. If you're the kind of person like, you know what, Roberto, I like to be focused. I want to save money and time. I don't have much time to travel or expenses. I want to be, because then I have a cookies and cream, which is my virtual event. And here's a question for you, brother. If you want to learn basketball, and I know you're a basketball fan, right?
I am, without question.
What is the best place to learn basketball? Let's say if you're starting out in a basketball court or in a swimming pool, which one?
Basketball court, my friend.
Very good. All right?
Good answer.
Very good. So if I'm going to learn about virtual presentations, about StreamYard, about storytelling, about dub, about technology, about webinars, what is the best setting to learn? In a virtual environment or in a hotel room? Where is it?
Virtual environment.
A virtual environment.
Question.
That's it. That's the idea.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. You got it. So that's the point. I think, by the way, sometimes it's hard for me. People say, Roberto, you don't do live events anymore. No, I do live events. They're just different things now. And prior to COVID, okay, this is an important distinction. If you look back in March last year, if you traditionally did workshops, dinner with the doctor, lectures, events, corporate lectures, you didn't have to learn much about technology. Yeah, maybe a computer, PowerPoint. Some doctors they don't use slides, right? Let's say. But now, so let's say technology played maybe 10% of a role before. Now, when it comes to virtual presentations, went from 10 to 60, 70%. So this whole technology background that doctors, if they want to be effective, they have to learn. And that's why I do virtual events in a virtual environment. That's why.
Perfect timing, because I just got this question. Here we go. You brought it up.
Should you use the slides? Okay. Perfect. I get this is a very controversial topic. There's actually probably 20 studies published on use the slides or not. And because I got this question asked many times, and I would say right to the middle. I can give examples where slides aid to retention. I can give examples where people who are participating in lectures learn less with the slides. Right in the middle. So it depends on which side you are. It's crazy. Now, I'll tell you my perspective. If I get 100 professionals, business professionals, doctors, 99, they don't know how to use the slides. You see, ultimately, you're the power, you're the point. Right? The slides are not a presentation. If all you have your presentation slides, send the slides. You don't have to be there. All right. The slides, I always tell, when one of the biggest mistakes when it comes to crafting your story or message, the first place people go, they open up their PowerPoint or they open up a previous presentation. That is a mistake. Right? What I recommend, unless you're going to do the same talk, obviously, and you have ready. Now, what I do recommend, first you outline your talk. I use mind mapping tools or old school whiteboard or just a notebook. You outline, and then you ask yourself, are the slides going to add to my message or not? Now, specifically, I'm talking about chiropractors now, for example. If you want to talk about gut health and you want to share some exams or pictures or X-rays or testing, then I'd say, you know what? That's going to add to your message for sure, 100%. Right? But the slides add to your message; they are not your message, and most people don't know how to present it. That's why most presentations, they are not effective, because is one slide after another slide after another slide, and then you don't have the flexibility to, if people ask a question, to really get into it and answer, because in the back of your mind it goes, I have 40 slides to cover. Right? So personally, I feel that it depends on the context. I used to do my 3-day events with the slides. I used to do, I don't know, I had like 200 slides, and I tested, say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I can do a 3-day event with no slides. And I did it, and was the best thing I done. So now I do my 3-day events, no slides. They have a 150-page manual. I use flip charts. This is my live event, and I put all over the wall. The retention level went up. There's another point that happens. Is eye contact important? Right? When you see a patient, really important. Now, what happens is, if you're doing an 8-hour lecture, for example, and you're showing you have 200 slides, where most of the time they're not looking at you, they are looking at the slides. So you lose that connection, especially in a live setting. So that's why I'm not pro or anti slides. I always go back to what is the context, what's the message. I always go back to that.
Terrific. So what are the elements of getting back of a successful virtual presentation?
I would say always be clear about your offer. You're always going to be clear. A lot of people, you always start the offer. What's your offer? Right? If you're doing a keynote, if you have an event, what's your offer? Number 2, every presentation, there's different ways to organize a message, but usually any presentation is about 2 things. Right? I can boil down the whole speaking training world into 2 things. 2 presentation styles. One is about introducing a problem and then giving the solution, right? Which is an amazing, effective way to do it. Or to introduce an opportunity and then introducing the second part, how you can capitalize on the opportunity. Technically, that in a big picture, right? So once you know the offer, then you gotta know, okay, which presentation structure I'm gonna use. So it's a problem solution, it's an opportunity, how I'm gonna leverage the opportunity, and there's other things in between, modular, sequential. There's different things you can do. But presentation structure is really important. I have a saying, Dr. Robert, that goes, structure gives you freedom. Right? So as a presenter, you gotta have a structure, even if it is a simple live webinar, a simple live video. You always want to have the structure, because the structure gives you freedom. So offer structure, and always find a way to tell your story. Right? Every time you have a presentation, you got to ask yourself, okay, what's my offer? How am I going to organize my message? And then I want you to ask yourself, what's the story I'm going to tell? All right. Let me give an example. One of my clients, he's a compliance consultant. And one day he calls me up and say, hey, Roberto, I'm experiencing this disease. He goes, what's the disease? He goes, I have a CSS disease. I'm like, what is CSS disease? He goes, I can't sell shit, you know? Right? And I'm like, why? He's going, man, I'm doing the stocks and I cannot move people. So then I'm like, okay. And then, so he came, I was living in San Diego back in the day. So I said, give me your talk. Right? And I'm telling you, Dr. Robert, was the most boring presentation I've ever seen. Compliance, right? So I look his talk, was an hour, and I said, you're going to do 3 things. And he goes, what? What are we going to do? Number 1, we're going to cut your content in half. He goes like, in half? Yeah, in half. Like, dude, you're crazy. Compliance. No, we're going to cut in half. So what are you going to do with the rest? Well, you're going to put stories, your client stories, and then you're going to add analogies, right? And then the third thing we did, I redid the close. Guy goes out, flies to a little event, like 20 people, sold $40,000 in compliance, right? In a small event. He goes, dude, I can't believe it, right? So stories are, they're so important, and you have to build up this storytelling muscle. Let me give a tip here. One of the most effective things that you can do, if you're a doctor, if you're an influencer, if you have a business, is to create your own story database. And I'm telling you, out of 100 people, nobody has it. Now, I have a database of stories. So when I have to put a presentation together, I just go in. And as long as it's a different audience, obviously, if not, I'm not going to tell the same story over and over again. I put on my stories and I tell, which is awesome.
It's fabulous. So we're talking about virtual presentations because right now with COVID, although we are coming out of COVID, and to speak to that, we're coming out of COVID. What do you think is the future of virtual presentations?
I love that. The future of virtual presentations. So I think a couple of things are going to happen. Number 1, are we going to have live events? For sure. Are going to have a big portion of the market that are going to be doing traditional in-person events? For sure. But I think the future is, I done a lot of research and I realized this. If you study the marketplace, remote work is going crazy, right? Now, we already had the trend before, and COVID sped up the process. So if you are a business owner, for example, and check this out. Number 1, productivity is the same or higher. 2, you save $10,000 per employee. 3, you use remote work as a way to hire and maintain talent. That means, hey, if you work for me, you can work from home, right? That means you can save money, you can make the same amount of money, right? You can be more productive, you can recruit talent. What are you gonna do, right? So that's why the workforce, not every industry, but the workforce, there's a vast majority of the industries that the remote work is going to get bigger, bigger, and bigger. They're not coming back. So how remote work is going to impact you as a communicator, as an influencer, as a traditional public speaker? Well, you may have less events in person, but you're going to have more events, virtual events. So the virtual events is not a fad. It's not like, okay, everybody's back, everybody's quote unquote vaccinated, not everybody, right? But people have vaccine, they're safe now. No, the virtual events, for those reasons, more savings, more productivity, more engagement, those people are going to have the employees work from home, which means now they have meetings on Zoom weekly or monthly. So there's more opportunities for you. So I think part of it, number 1, virtual presentations, being able to do a presentation instead of going to a company and do a sales speech or presentation or a lunch and learn, you're going to do online. We're already doing that. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Number 2, that's one aspect. It's just going to grow. So what that means to you as a communicator, as an expert, you have to be able to have a nice setup at home in your office. A nice camera, a nice microphone, nice background. Got to be able to engage people if you're doing a Zoom presentation. That is part. That's not going to go away. It's going to get bigger, bigger, and bigger. The second thing, and you and I spoke a little bit about before, I think people who do events, they're going to start offering hybrid events where you're gonna do a talk as a speaker. You go in and do a talk. Then you're gonna have a couple cameramen, couple cameras in the back, and you're gonna be able to speak to the people in the room, also to the personal camera. And it's hard. I did one hybrid event last December, and I caught myself because I'm so trained to practice eye contact for the people in front of me, and I forgot the people online. I was literally like this. I'm here, and the camera guy goes like this. Hey, bro. look at the camera. And I'm like, oh, okay. So until you build that pattern. So the idea, I think I never seen so much opportunity for people who have a message, a voice, experts right now, and they want to create a real impact, because now you have two flavors of ice cream. You have the chocolate ice cream. Yeah, can I do a live event? Of course. Or can you do a virtual event? Of course, my cookies and cream. So I think it's an amazing opportunity for us.
Awesome. And in your training, whether it's individual or virtual, you go through all these dynamics for everybody. So
100%.
it's full composite. Somebody just texted me, and it's clear from the question that they've had some training. So the heat's coming to the iron on this one.
All right.
What's more important, communication or connection? Can you help me with it?
Good. Well, connection comes first, right? Connection comes first. Well, I think internally, depends on how you frame it. Internally, you're always communicating to yourself, right? So your internal dialogue, you got to have dial in. But I think connection is really hard to influence people without connection. And connection is not like something that is not switch, turn it on. Okay, I got connected and then disconnected. Connection is something that you established and then you got to be able to manage. So here's some strategies for connection that I do. Number one, if you're doing a virtual presentation, you want to engage people right away. So let's say you're doing a virtual presentation on Zoom, for example, a webinar or a training. Then one of the things that I want you to do, right, as people are signing in, you can say, hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Dr. Robert Gutt's health class. Put on a chat here your favorite restaurant in New York, right? They'll be like, right? And some be like, oh yeah, okay. Oh, I've been to that sushi place. Oh yeah, I've been to that Mexican food. I love that. So you start connecting with people right away, right? Number two, you always want to be able to have a little bit of self-disclosure. A lot of people who are super high-level experts, sometimes because they know so much, they have a tendency to show up superior. So either in your position, you have superior, equal, and inferior, right? And what happens is, obviously, as an expert, the reason people are there, you got to learn. You got to be not superior, like I'm better than you, but it's kind of the position that you take. And for some people, some experts, is really hard for them to just open up and talk about their mistakes, talk about their challenges. And I feel like to establish true connection, you got to be able to go there authentically. And one of the stories that I tell to my people when I start doing video marketing, my first video I ever recorded is 2010. So 11 years ago when YouTube, that was my first video. And I don't know if you remember, Dr. Robert, we had those flip cameras. Remember that? Those flip cameras?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So when they came out, like, oh, now I'm going to be a YouTuber. And when we had these flip cameras, at that time, I didn't know how to edit videos. Didn't know. So my strategy was this. I put my flip camera on my tripod, and I had one chance to record. So if I mess up, I got to go in, I walk towards the camera, I stop and start again. Why? Because I didn't know how to edit a big file. I didn't know how to cut a video. Follow me? So remember one time I had an hour to record a video. I'm just starting out. I put my tripod there, my flip camera, and I had a 5-minute message. And I start recording, mess up. And every time I mess up, I go walk towards the camera. I hit stop and start again. Why? Because otherwise the files are going to get too big, and I didn't know how to cut the video. Then I go again, one more time. And probably I've done like 20 times, 20 takes, and I start sweating. And then I'm like, man, I'm a speaking coach. I'm making these mistakes, right? And I remember like, okay, man, I have a meeting to go. I got to get this right. And I go, all right, let's go. And then I start recording. And and the message is around 5 minutes, and it's 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm speaking, and the little voice go like this. Roberto, you got it. And then I'm like almost done my message, and I say something stupid. And I'm like, fudge, right? And it wasn't it was the other word that I used. That was bad. So I walk towards the camera, like really pissed, like, stop, start again. I'm like, All right. And then I go and I do one more time. I record this video. And finally I got it. I get the flip camera. I put it on my computer. I upload it to YouTube and I go to my meeting. A couple of weeks later, I go back on YouTube. I had all these comments. I had uploaded the wrong video with the fudge one, and I had this. So, and the reason I tell the story, I'm like, look, if you're going to do virtual presentations, guess what? You're going to make mistakes. That's like, and a lot of people, they want to be perfect, right? They have this like, man, I have high standards. So when I'm an expert, yes, I want to be perfect. But sometimes they have the battle between, or conflict between being perfect and being authentic, right? It's like, and people they don't know how to manage that. So for me, going back to connection, you gotta be able to have a little bit of self-disclosure, just like I did right now, and talk a little bit about your failures, because they're gonna inspire people to say, you know what? If this guy made these mistakes, I can do these mistakes as well and can achieve my goals. That's the idea.
I remember when I had to get ready for a really big talk. So I worked with you, and I'll never forget it, because you said, I need you to videotape yourself. And I'm like, sure, I've got this thing, I've got all these people. And you were like, no, you're going to videotape yourself alone in a room looking at the camera. And I'm standing there, and it's like my wife, I said, would you sit there? And she's like, no. Roberto said no. And I have to tell you, it was unbelievable, but it was yet the most effective, because it's easy to see, oh, wow, I'm doing well. They're smiling. Oh, wow, I'm losing the crowd. The connection's going down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fix it up. But it was unbelievable, because you said, Rob, you got all this great information, but by the time you're done, you just stampeded me. Can you tell me simply why you do what you do is? Can you hone your message and hone your story? So anybody who's looking for that, and now everybody says, Rob, I really like the fact that you have a message and you tell a story. So of course I give you no credit, because I'm that guy. I say, well, I'm a natural. I'm sure
natural at it.
Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan, they were all naturals. They didn't have you stand. Of course they did. And that's what people don't understand, that you have to work with somebody, because you can't be objective about yourself. You need an expert. And you are that expert. So
I appreciate it. And I hope I inspire people too, because English is my third language. Hi, Zelia. Thanks so much for joining here. Appreciate that. Thank you. And I tell this, so I was 25 when I moved to America. I'm from Brazil. My first language was Portuguese. And I always got saying Portuguese. Language was always hard for me. In my native language, always hard. And when I was 16 or 15, they have an option whether you want to study English or Spanish. And I look the South America map. Brazil is surrounded by Spanish-speaking countries. I'm like, I'll never use English, right? So I studied Spanish. So then I started studying English when I was 25. I'm 50 now. So for me, language has never been easy. But I realize the lesson is that when you incorporate structure with the story and a state, your state of mind, the structure of a message and a story, anyone can be super effective.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback. I think that's the secret sauce for you, because I am a native English speaker, American English.
Yeah.
So I take it for granted, because it's what I speak. Any of my second languages, I'm not that good at. Yeah. My wife spoke English, but she was like 8 or 9. And what I've noticed, and you really amplify this really well, is you had to learn how to use the words to communicate. So you're utilizing other techniques within the words to communicate.
That's it.
That's what you shared. Because you said to yourself, I know you did, I have an accent. Now, we all have accents, but you came, like you said, you didn't speak English. So when you coach somebody, you're also coaching the nonverbal that's so valuable, like, don't do this. And, you didn't get to mention that, but you meant, Rob, don't do this. You kind of look like you're slick.
Yeah, so for example, I had this doc. He's a chiropractor. He was seeing 1,200 people a week, big practice. And this is before work with me, so I don't want to take the success there. But I asked him, he was doing this group doctors reports because he had all these people coming in. And I say, record, like I said before, record your talk I want to see. And this was incredible. In a 40-minute presentation, he touched his nose like this 32 times. I start watching like, and I pause at the time, and I do a screenshot of the video. And that's all I did at that coaching session. And I said, I sent all those 32 pictures, and I said, do you know the body language? Not what I'm saying. Say about you touching the nose like this, that you're lying or you don't want to reveal something. Right? I mean, and here's a guy who's already successful. Sometimes, even the best, sometimes it's not about what I'm going to do, what I have to stop doing it to go to the next level. In his case, that was one of the things that he had to stop doing to go to the next level.
Last one, because I know you're busy and you got a bolt. How can someone get in touch with you, follow you, see what you're doing?
The best way, go to influenceology.com, the word influenceology.com, and I have several free ebooks there that you can download, learn more about my work. And then I also am very active on Facebook. You can go to Influenceology page. I'm super active there as well.
Fabulous. You know, I know you're busy. I got you in. I can tell you my own testimonial. He's going to elevate you. And as long as you understand that it's all an improvement, and it's so important to communicate. I mean, we turn the TV on, we turn Facebook, and who do we go to? The person whose story and message resonates with us. So you can be the greatest doc in the world. I lecture. They're in the room. They just either don't want to or don't know how to communicate. And in the era where virtual presentations are without question growing at an exponential level, it's a whole new genre because you're we're talking to a laptop. There's no one other than you smiling. There's nobody else. So Roberto's the guy.
I appreciate that, brother. Thanks so much for the invitation here. And I want to give some credit to you. I love how consistent you are with communication. You're on TV, you're doing lives, you're doing speaking, man. You're a big time influencer. And I'm very honored to call you a friend. So thank you so much.
Same here. Thanks for all your help. Everybody, Roberto Monaco.